Yo, how's it going? My name is Connor Bloom. I am the CEO of artistcraft.com. We help artists, musicians, producers, DJs become successful. We have scaled that company to 12 employees at this point, and the most I've made a day is $50,000 in revenue. I tell you this because I am 17 years old, and most people think I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. And let's get real, probably don't, but trying to share the journey, trying to share, what I'm learning. And if anyone here has better advice and anyone wants to share it, please do. I love learning, I love reading, I love watching podcasts, I love the whole thing. So if you have any advice for me personally, feel free to comment. Completely open to hearing some advice. Anyways, this video is going to be about outreach in business and why it is not working for you. Now, as a start off before I say this is, when I started, I'll start off with a case study of my own business. When I started business, I started with an agency called 7C Media. It was a very basic agency. We would help e-commerce businesses run Facebook advertising. First off, that business was never very successful. And looking back, obviously I know why, and I have videos on why that is. But when I started, I was sending about 200 messages a week. Whether that was DMs, whether that was cold calls, whether that was cold emails, whatever it is, I was reaching out to about 200 people per week. And I was like, why am I not getting responses? Why am I not booking calls? And at the time, I was probably having 3 calls a month, maybe, right? And every time I had a call, I was like really prepping for it and doing a whole meditation session before, and I really got to, really care about this. And fast forward to where we're at now, that was 7C Media, now we're at artistcraft.com. We have on average about 15 to 20 calls, sales calls per day booked, right? And the reason being is because we send a lot of messages, right? We reach out to an easy 4,000, 5,000 people per week. So, as a thought experiment, it's like, if I was sending 200 messages on this and I was getting maybe 2 responses a week and one of those people would book, if I send 5,000 messages, it's a lot better of a response rate. And that's where we can actually start booking a lot of calls. Also, part of it's just a different industry and people are more likely to respond. That's a separate thing. And the actual message script is way better than the old one. But the point is you're not doing enough. If you're actually trying to get people to respond to your cold outreach, do more cold outreach. Don't be like, oh man, I'm sending 250, 300, 400, 500 messages per week. Why is no one responding? Why am I not getting calls? You're not sending enough. Try going from sending 200 messages a week to sending 10,000 messages a week. And I guarantee with 100% certainty, your calendar will be full of calls, guaranteed. It just comes down to doing more, right? And people really don't understand that it's the boring work. It's the, just copying and pasting their username onto the calendar and then typing out the, call with such and such at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and replying to the client and doing that 150 times every single week. It's boring as fuck, but it's the stuff that works. And honestly, in business, it's the boring work that really makes the difference. And if you're just trying to do here and do all the fancy fun stuff, it usually just doesn't drive the needle as much. And you got to be focusing on the more boring shit, and you just got to be doing more, right? And even past outreach is really just do more volume, do more work. Because you can outwork people simply with just quality and quantity of output. So many people get obsessed with, optimizing everything, but sometimes it's just brute force. Sometimes it's just reaching out to, 10,000 people a week. Sometimes it's just picking up that phone at, 7 a.m. and setting it down at 9 p.m., right? It's just calling, doing cold calls all day long, doing 800 cold calls in a day. It's sending 5,000 messages in a 48-hour time period. It's just work. And it takes time to learn that skill and takes time to build the discipline to actually be able to do that. And actually, once you get to more of a high level, you can also actually start employing people to do that for you because it is very time consuming, but it just comes down to doing more, right? And you can look at 1,001 fancy ways of it, but if you close 1 out of 10 sales calls you're on and you only have 4 sales calls a week, you're just going to be fighting. If you only have 4 sales calls a month, you're just going to be fighting for clients. And then, maybe one every 2.5 months, you get a new client and maybe they're on an $800 a month retainer. It's awesome. That's cool. But is that really gonna make a difference? And are you really gonna become successful that way? No. So just do more outreach, work harder. It's really the message I try to spread is just work harder. So Anyways, you know, if anyone took any value from that, I really would, that's awesome. It's kind of cheeky plug to end off the video here. If you could subscribe and like the video, honestly, liking doesn't matter as much to me, but it's cool. But subscribe would be awesome. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers, 1,000 subscribers in the next, I'm gonna say probably 3 to 4 weeks. So trying to grow this up as fast as I can, trying to work on it and just trying to give value. You know, these videos are very unscripted, very unedited. You know, I shoot it in one shot. So it's like, just trying to make good content, trying to make the content that hopefully, you know, resonates with people. But that's me. So if you want to subscribe, you're going to be getting advice on business, advice on bodybuilding, and just how to live a decent life, even though that advice comes from a 17-year-old. But anyways, I'll talk to you in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed this. But sayonara.